Have you ever contemplated the origin of life? Was its emergence merely a coincidence? To find the answer to this question, we must return to the very beginning. If you've watched my previous videos on dimensions, then you'll know that there is only one single existence in this universe, an infinite consciousness endowed with boundless intelligence. All of creation began when this consciousness became aware of its own existence. In that moment, it produced the thought, "I am," and asked itself, "What can I become?" And from that question, the universe was born. Yes, the existence of all things began with this singular consciousness's desire to know itself, understand itself, explore itself, and experience itself. Everything we can see and everything we cannot see are all expressions of that consciousness. It is so vast that it needed to divide itself into countless fragments in order to know itself more clearly. Each fragment is an expression and embodiment of its divinity. However, in order to enter the material realm and have experiences there, it needed to create physical vessels for itself. Thus, the energy of the universe gave rise to planets. Planets are gateways that connect to this infinite consciousness. Through them, infinite consciousness can refine its experiences through countless individual beings, gaining ever more perspectives from which to know itself. When a planet begins to contemplate who it is, that is the moment it starts to develop self-awareness and awaken. In doing so, it becomes a gateway capable of communicating with infinite consciousness because it is attempting to reconnect with the self. At such times, the planet receives seeding from beyond. Earth is one of them. Millions of years ago, Earth was a planet evolving toward the first density, the realm of stones. Other planets, such as Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, were evolving toward a different level. But at a certain point, these three planets needed to transfer their energy to another planet. Because their evolutionary paths were different, they were already undergoing ascension. As a result, Earth was able to receive life and energy from these three planets. At that time, Earth orbited the Sun, while the central sun of the galaxy provided it with millions of years of energy. Our solar system orbits the central sun of the galaxy, and we orbit our sun. Our sun channels the energy from the center of the galaxy to us. Suddenly, at one point, this energy began to be blocked. The flow of energy to Earth and its surrounding planets became irregular. This happened because we were entering a nebula within the galaxy, which gradually reduced the light coming from the center. Once Venus, Mars, and Jupiter stopped supplying life to Earth, our solar system entered a galactic night, 12,000 years of darkness. This marked the beginning of a material experiment, a physical experiment unfolding on Earth. In every 26,000-year cycle, we experience a galactic night and a galactic day. During this process, we practice connecting and disconnecting with the universe, facilitating the evolution of either the material world or the etheric realm. The entire planet, along with all beings within and beyond it, must go through this process. All planets undergo this cycle, but in the previous cycle, Earth was the only planet still hosting life, still experiencing everything through itself. For this reason, around 27,000 years ago, many races from other planets decided to come to Earth to create civilizations and humanity, helping Earth complete the process it was meant to fulfill. This is why, in the 12,000-year cycle, following 27,000 years ago, humans began forming relatively stable material civilizations, such as Lemuria and Atlantis. This 12,000-year civilizational process laid the foundation for modern civilization and helped anchor human development, for example, in the construction of the pyramids. Today, all the mysteries of our civilization are hidden within those 12,000 years. They reveal why we exist here. Once we recognize this, our solar system will enter a new phase of galactic night. This was the most significant seeding and historical event in human history. Of course, other civilizations also intermittently came to Earth for seeding, but our focus will remain on the large-scale seeding 27,000 years ago, as it has a profound connection to who we are today. 12,000 years ago, around the end of the age of Virgo, the galactic autumn began, as the galactic equinox arrived, marking our entry into the autumn of the galaxy. Just like Earth, the galaxy has its own days and nights, its spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Different seasons and periods bring different energies to the planets within the galaxy, and these energies influence each planet's progress and lessons. During the stages of galactic autumn and winter, what humanity needed to do was to root itself on Earth, intensely experiencing everything to purify all things. For this reason, during those 12,000 years, humans lost connection with their source and with all life. But this was not Earth's fault, nor was it a negative process. It was a natural stage that every system must go through. Dinosaurs went through it, primitive humans went through it, and we went through it as well. During those 12,000 years, humanity was preparing for something important, for matter and density. The year 2012 marked the end of this 12,000-year cycle, the cycle in which we learned everything related to density. It also opened a new 12,000-year cycle of galactic spring and summer, during which humanity would reconnect with the universe, understand why we had to experience all of this during the winter of the galactic night, absorb it, integrate it, and then move forward from a new perspective. This is the process of Earth. During the processes of galactic night and day, as Earth orbits the Sun, its goal is to become like a sun itself. This is why it needs to experience different densities in order to refine itself. If there is anything left unfinished, it will continue to practice that lesson until it is completed. In this cyclical process of coming and going, what Earth does is purify matter so that it can ascend in a physical form and eventually reach a state similar to that of Venus today. Venus is a more evolved being than Earth because it is fire. It has burned away all karma and purified its entire existence. Earth will follow the same path, and the beings living on Earth are here to help it on this path, on the path of ascension. Humanity's task is to drive and assist Earth in achieving consciousness-based transcendence. That is our mission. This is why, for so many years, we have been moving between density and subtlety, between density and matter. It is all to help Earth evolve. Once we complete the 12,000-year cycle, there comes a code day, a day on which everything begins to be rebuilt. This is what we call the solstices and equinoxes. From these days onward, everything begins to change until the next season arrives. The most recent one was the winter solstice of 2012. The winter solstice of 2012 marked the galactic equinox, signaling the arrival of galactic spring. This equinox represents the work and integration of the past 12,000 years. The lessons completed during this time are imprinted in the heart of each of us and within society as a whole. Billions of years ago, when Earth was still in its first density evolutionary cycle, life had already appeared on Mars, a planet similar to Earth as we know it today. Mars was home not only to plants, insects, animals, and birds, but also to large creatures resembling dinosaurs. Around 225 million years ago, various forms of life emerged and thrived on Mars, ranging from first density to fourth density life forms. The indigenous inhabitants of Mars resembled Bigfoot and were essentially the Martian equivalent of humans, growing strong on their land and protecting their home. At that time, Mars was not the barren desert we see today. It had towering mountains, flowing rivers, lush vegetation, and a harmonious ecosystem, a beautiful home where all kinds of life could survive and flourish. As Mars prospered and developed, some interstellar visitors arrived and settled on the planet. They interbred with the native ape-like beings, creating hybrid races, and lived in harmony alongside the indigenous Martians. However, the Martians were a predominantly left-brained people. Life on Mars had also been seeded by higher dimensional beings, and in seeking the most optimal path for evolution, they wanted to design a species that would best serve the evolution of consciousness. As a result, they modified the Martians' brains to enhance left brain rational thinking while weakening right brain intuitive abilities. This design was intended as a test to see whether it would better support the evolution of consciousness. Because of this design, the Martians favored materialism and technology over spiritual learning. They were intelligent, quick-witted, and highly rational, with strong logical and scientific minds, and they possessed remarkable technical talent. On Mars, they fully exercised their abilities, creating astonishing technologies. Yet without spiritual balance, these technologies ultimately led them toward their own destruction. Over time, Mars began to attract more attention from the outside, especially from the Orions and the draconian beings. These were negative collectives in the universe, committed to a path of destructive evolution, constantly invading and controlling other planets, and leading them down a similar negative path. The Orions and Draconians possessed more advanced technology than the Martians, particularly the Draconians, who had mastered interstellar travel long before many other races in our galaxy had even developed the capability. When the Orions and Draconians arrived on Mars, they attempted to take control of the planet and lure it onto a negative path. They used advanced technology to strike deals with the Martians, exchanging what the Martians desired for what they wanted. The Martians agreed to cooperate. Thus, they began creating hybrid races on Mars. The Draconians were the galaxy's genetic experts, conducting genetic experiments across many star systems and planets, creating hybrid races infused with their genes to serve them. On Mars, they combined their genes with those of the Martians to create a hybrid race called the Marduko. This was an extremely selfish, cold, and warlike species. By nature, they were indifferent and existed solely to serve their draconian masters. At the same time, the Orions and Draconians also infiltrated Mars's neighboring planet, Maldek. This was a planet larger than Mars, located in what is now the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Before it became today's asteroid belt, Maldek was a super-Earth, and Mars was its moon. giants once lived on this planet. Under the influence of the Orions and Draconians, these two planets were drawn into a series of intense interstellar wars, which caused varying degrees of destruction to both worlds. Around 27 million years ago, a large-scale civil war broke out on Mars. This war ultimately led to the planet's destruction, turning it into the barren desert we see today. The conflict arose over control of Mars and was also driven by the Draconians' manipulations behind the scenes, aiming to lead Mars down a negative path. An intense war erupted between the Mardico and the Martians. Both sides used weapons similar to nuclear arms during the conflict. These weapons released energy equivalent to nuclear explosions, ultimately destroying Mars's ecosystem and rendering the planet uninhabitable. The damage caused by this war ultimately led the Martian Council to come to Earth and perform physical modifications on the ancestors of humanity. These modifications greatly accelerated the evolutionary process of humans, while also transferring the seeds of Mars to Earth. This was the first seeding of humanity. Around 200,000 years ago, winged etheric beings from the Andromeda galaxy came to Earth and modified human DNA. Since the emergence of life on Earth, these etheric beings had been observing us and intervening in our evolutionary process at different stages. They are known as the Seeders. After the Martian Council conducted the first seeding on Earth and modified the human body, these beings came to perform another seeding. Because of their extraordinary and otherworldly beauty, they were often mistaken by Earth humans for angels. Their modifications focus primarily on the spiritual aspects, since our physical bodies had already been altered by the Martians, and further changes could have accelerated human evolution too quickly. They enhanced the human biological system to influence human consciousness, placing greater emphasis on spiritual development. They also altered the flux within human DNA, enabling humans to sense the presence of the Creator within, distinguish light from darkness, discern right from wrong, and experience the love of the Creator. The Andromedans infused many of their own qualities into human DNA. Before this modification, humans had only a single chromosome. After the Andromedans' intervention, humans now possess 2 pairs of chromosomes capable of storing specific wisdom memories, enhancing intuition, and accelerating spiritual evolution. Around 5 million years ago, human evolution had stagnated until the arrival of beings from Sirius B broke this impasse. An artificial bridge portal was constructed, connecting the core of Earth with the Sphere of Amenti and the core of Sirius B. Many souls involved in the second seeding were integrated into the genetics of Sirius B, creating a hybrid consciousness race known as the Planetarians. The portal bridge used during the second seeding was called the Halls of Lemuria. During the time of Atlantis, when the third seeding took place, the Atlanteans referred to it as the Third Eye of Horus. Around 4 million years ago, the human hybrids were separated and taken to the Pleiades, where they were named the Europhytes. They once again interbred with the Planetarians, giving rise to the Dagos. Later, the Dagos were brought to Earth to reseed the planet. The third seeding of humanity, the birth of the Atlanteans, was heavily influenced by the negative Anunnaki forces. The Anunnaki were malevolent beings who imposed a corrupt, gender-discriminatory system in which women were forced into servitude and used as reproductive slaves. They were worshipped as gods by humans. Around 900,000 years ago, the Anunnaki created a new race through hybridization, called the Nephilim, who were descendants of the Anunnaki. These Nephilim were highly advanced and ruled over the humans on Earth at that time. The cultures of the Lemanians remained unaffected and uninfiltrated by the Nephilim. They withdrew underground and lived in seclusion. Witnessing the suffering on Earth, the Ra Confederation shut down certain genetic courts in order to restore order and balance to the planet. During this period, the Sirians interbred with the Atlanteans and Irians, eventually giving rise to an advanced human race known as the Siris or Egyptians. At that time, the Egyptians possessed the most diverse genetic codes. Around 800,000 years ago, the Ra Confederation re-entered the Amenti sphere and the core of Earth. The Anunnaki, displeased with the Ra Confederation's interference in the development of their Nephilim race, decided to destroy the Amenti sphere and enslave humanity to mine gold for them. A millennium-long war broke out between the Ra Confederation and the Anunnaki. To survive the conflict, many Earth-based races were relocated to other planets, while most of the Nephilim were first moved to Sirius A and later to Nibiru. Eventually, both sides signed a treaty to end this 1,000-year-long war. This treaty became known as the Treaty of El-Anu. Under the terms of the treaty, the Nephilim were no longer allowed to return to Earth, while the Anunnaki were granted permission to create another hybrid race of Anunnaki and humans, called the Anu. This treaty caused a division within the Anunnaki. One faction followed the Law of One, including the Sirians from Sirius A, the Cantarians from Sirius B, and members of the Sirian High Council. The other faction consisted of the Anunnaki resistance, including the Dracos and the Draken, who sought to destroy the Sphere of Amenti. With the support of the Sirian High Council, the Ra Confederation intervened and imposed an unbreakable seal, known as the 666 Templar Exile, on the Dracos and Anunnaki followers. This prevented them from interbreeding with any races other than their own. The only way for the Anunnaki resistance to return was to rely on a new Anunnaki hybrid program called the Children of Anu. This plan had been permitted under the previously signed treaty. Around 750,000 years ago, the third seeding of humanity on Earth began. The Sphere of Amenti was separated from the core of the Earth and placed in a secure location, guarded jointly by the Arcturians and the Pleiadians, hidden within the Andromeda galaxy. Fortunately, the Andromedans did not support the Anunnaki's military actions and rejected the Treaty of El-Anu. To assist in reseeding Earth, a connecting portal bridge was constructed between the Earth's core and the Sphere of Amenti in the Andromeda galaxy. This portal bridge was called the Ark of the Covenant of Pleiadior, also known simply as the Arco of the Covenant. A fourth density seal was placed on the Ark, making it a one-way gateway. Only souls could descend to Earth, but unless they possessed the fourth density genetic coding required for ascension, they could not leave the planet. This one-way seal became known as the Seal of the Ark. Around 700,000 years ago, the Siris, or Egyptians, interbred with the Lemanians, giving rise to a new race called the Uter-Tites, who became known as the priesthood of Uter-Tites. Around 55,000 years ago, the Anunnaki generally began to accept and understand the Law of One and the concept of oneness. Only a small group still resisted the law of unity. These individuals were the Anunnaki resistance, the rebellious troublemakers. Other interstellar races bestowed many gifts upon humanity, including crystal energy generators. During that period, the Ark of the Covenant was stored on the continent of Atlantis. The Anunnaki resistance, with the help of the Drakons and Dracos, infiltrated Atlantis and nearly destroyed its civilization. Anu was compromised and interbred with the Drakons and Dracos, producing hybrids. The Anunnaki resistance created a Templar exile seal and combined it with the Anugens. Due to the infiltration of the Templar Anu resistance, the forbidden Dracos were able to enter Earth. At that time, humans attempted to eliminate the underground Dracos using crystal generators. However, this plan ultimately backfired. The Ark of the Covenant was damaged and had to be relocated to Egypt. The Ceres, or Egyptians, then became the guardians of the Ark of the Covenant. With the help of the Syrians, the Ra Confederation built pyramids across Egypt, including directly above key portal areas. 40,000 years ago, the pyramids served as symbols of Ra, or the Syrians. The Giza Pyramid was constructed directly above the Ark of the Covenant to protect it from rebellious forces. The Sphinx was built atop an underground portal library as a symbolic tribute. Its primary purpose at the time was to safeguard fourth-density ultra-high-frequency energy devices, which had anti-gravity capabilities and were used to assist in the construction of the pyramids. The main function of the pyramids was to serve as interstellar teleportation stations. From their construction through their peak usage, dating from approximately 46,500 BCE to 28,000 BCE, the pyramids consistently fulfilled this role. Additionally, they were used as ascension chambers, accessible only to a select few individuals whose DNA coding enabled them to complete the ascension process. The pyramids also served as training schools for initiates of the Ra Confederation's ascension program. They were used for healing, generating, and restructuring genetic frameworks, and served as access points to the subterranean portal beneath the Sphinx leading to the inner Earth world. Under the protection of the Syrian High Council, Anu grew increasingly hostile. Many of the Anu migrated to Atlantis, which gradually became their stronghold. Angered by being forbidden access to the inner Earth world and the Ark of the Covenant, Anu devised a plan to use the Atlantean crystal generators to disrupt the electromagnetic barriers protecting the inner Earth portal, aiming to conquer the inner Earth realm. In 28,000 BCE, the Templars, or Anu, forcibly injected excessive energy into one of the main generator crystals, causing it to explode with a force equivalent to at least 10 atomic bombs. This explosion in Atlantis slightly tilted the Earth's rotational axis, causing the pyramid vortex, the location of the Earth's heart chakra, to deviate from its original alignment with the Sirius B vortex system and several other planetary systems. The Earth was now closely aligned with the interstellar spiral running through the Pleiades, and as a result, the new pyramids were also aligned with the energy of Alcyone, the central sun of the Pleiades. Under the protection of the Syrian High Council, the Ark of the Covenant and the inner Earth realm remained secure. Meanwhile, through interdensity time spirals, the Earth entered the next natural 26,000-year cycle.